Welcome. This is the podcast series dedicated to living a revenue culture. And if you've been with us before, you know that a revenue culture is a very specific thing. It means you've figured out how to maximize profit because you've optimized your people in a low friction context. And we typically every 2 weeks bring you somebody who's out there in the real world doing this, working on this, developing something for this. And you get a chance to learn from them and ask questions of us, and we'll set them up at a future cast. So today we've got Joe Mindak with us, and uh, Joe's had 25 years experience in business. He started his own businesses. He's built those up. He's flipped those. And today he's doing some really interesting stuff. I work with Joe, and that's why I'm really thrilled to have him here. He helps aspiring entrepreneurs and helps companies figure out how to grow revenue. And he doesn't just talk about it. He has technology, intellectual property, process, and he's got a community that does all these things together. And two of them I'm going to get him to talk about. We're going to talk about his background, but one of them's Nolodex and the other's The Connective. And I participate in both. And I can tell you, I make references, referrals. I introduce people every chance I get because I think they're doing something really special. So, Joe, welcome.
Thank you, Rick. I'm excited. Always have a good time talking to you. I'm glad to have you on board for 2 years now, maybe more than 2 years.
And I
And
think it's more than two. I think you only had about 100 when I started, and you've got how
yeah,
many now?
four almost 425. I got a bet with my partner that we'll hit 425 by the end of the year, and he owes me a nice steak dinner. So we're at four. I think we're 422 today. So I got three more people. Anyone out there, sign up. I'll split my steak with you. Right. So.
Well, so Joe, tell us first about your background and how you got here, and then I do want to talk in depth about both Nolodex and the Connective. But you've got an interesting background. You've done some cool stuff that probably helped position you for today. So bring us up to date.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go about thinking, I should be an entrepreneur one day. I should own my own business, right? I was going to be a sales guy, and by the end of this, everyone will know why because the way I talk and just love talking and meeting people. My friend Amy always said in college, you're either going to be a salesman or a politician. I think mostly one and the same, right? Anyway, so when I got out of college, I was looking for a sales role, and nobody would hire me, right? I had no experience in sales. We like you, we think you do great, Joe, but our prerequisite is a year experience in sales. I'm like, well, no, somebody give me an opportunity. So my dad had a small print shop, one man shop. My dad, he did great, raised five kids, was a total salesman like me, but he also did all the printing himself and he had no overhead. Talk about revenue, right? His revenue was he had a shop in his buddy Gus's shop, so he didn't pay rent, he didn't pay electric, he didn't pay anything. But he would give Gus bigger jobs. So when he had them, so it was kind of paying him with that. So he had a great business with almost zero overhead, right? And
Yep.
cost of goods for the envelopes he had to buy was it. So, but in the late '90s, Kinko's came out, computers came out, and all that stuff. So, the small printer was kind of starting to get a little rattled because you could go get 1,000 copies at Kinko's for $20 instead
Oh
of,
yeah.
so I was living at home, and my mom's like, "You should work for your dad." And I said, "Well, you know what? I do need a year experience." So anyway, went to work for my dad for a year. At the end of the year, I said, "Why am I going to go work for Rick McPartland, pay him all the money, and take 10% when I could just sell for myself?" And I said to my dad, "Let's do this, but we need to sell bigger stuff. We need to expand this company from, a one man print shop printing letterheads and envelopes to, bigger printing presses that could do bigger
Yeah.
jobs." So we took out a $50,000 loan and bought a bunch of printing presses we had no idea how to use. So we brought people on that knew how to use them, and we went out and started selling, and that $250,000 print business turned into a $3 million marketing agency in a course of about 3, 4 years. And it was just selling, right? It was out there
Yep.
selling. That's what I knew to do. Profitability and all that other stuff would come later on in life, right? But I learned how to get out there and sell. So you ran that for 20 years, right? That agency lasted for a long time
Wow.
and kept doing it. My dad retired after a couple of years because he didn't really know what a digital marketing agency did. So he uh he kept, kept making a nice salary, and then that was, he was the investor, right? So I did that for 20 years, started a magazine, and because I learned how to do marketing, right? Because I
Yeah.
started a marketing company and on a teacher's education, right? I was a secondary education major and figured out how to do marketing. I was like, I could market other companies. I'm going to start my own companies and market those. Why am I going to market Rick's company again? Same concept. Why sell for? So I started doing my own company. So first I started with the Soup Man, which is the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, the franchise. That was a
Oh,
total
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was a total bust. That wasn't my fault. It was a bad franchise model. It actually had no model. And then I started a magazine in Hoboken, New Jersey called HMag, Hoboken Magazine. And we launched that, used our marketing skills to become a household name in Hoboken within a year. And within 5 years, we sold that and sold the agency because I wanted to move on to other things. And that's what led to, this whole Nolodex and the connective of making money and revenue off of our networks, right? Um, so what had happened after I sold those companies, I was building two other companies, a beer company and a company in the wedding industry. And people kept calling me, Joe, I need a website. Joe, I need SEO. I need a video. I said, well, Rick, I don't do that anymore. I sold the agency. I've been out for a year. I'm not my game anymore. But these guys are great. Let me introduce you to this company. They'll do a great job for you. I've known them. I've done websites with them. They'll take care of you. Everyone wants a referral, right? They
Yeah.
want a they want a referral to somebody good. You're not going to build your kitchen without asking your neighbors who they'd use, right? So same concept, but all of a sudden, I gave out $100,000 project to this company, and I said, "Hey guys, I just introduced you to the president of the company, the main decision maker. He just spent $100,000 with you. How about a little something for the effort?" And they were like, "You know what? We'll give you 15% of the deal." And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh, all right." So I got a check for $15,000. And they're like, "Bring me more business." I'm like, "Oh, I could do that. I know how to sell." So that's what triggered this, got us here was, hey, I bet there's other people out there that want business that aren't great at sales. Let me bring them sales
yeah,
and they'll pay me commission. So I got about a dozen agencies that I knew in my world marketing, SEO, video, printing,
yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And over the course of the year, I called it Fin Connective originally. It was my son's name is Finn. And I sold about $85,000 in commissions I made, right? I sold about $850,000 and not even sold. I just connect
yeah,
people, right?
yeah,
Hey, you need a video? Talk to Seb. You need this? Talk to that person. And at the end of the year, I added up, it was about $85,000 in commissions. That's when I was like, well, wait, there's something else here, right?
yeah.
So I got 20 people in a room, brought them all dinner and said, listen, Rick, me and you and John and Janie and Susie, we all do different things, but we're all great connectors. I just made 80 something thousand dollars charging for those introductions, not
Yep.
charging, but taking a
Yeah,
referral fee.
yeah,
How about we all pitch in? You get a deal, you put it in the pot. If Rick was the one that made the introduction, he'll take half the
yeah,
commission, I'll take the other half. And that's how this whole thing got started. So from those 20 some odd people, we're at 420 something people now. Businesses all over the country that are getting paid for their network, right? We're looking, and with Nolodex, with our software now that we built, we're looking to change the way networking is done. Why not pay? Yeah, everyone likes the network. Everyone's doing it. Businesses are happy to pay a referral fee. If you could get them in the door of that company they're trying to get to, yeah, I'll pay you a referral fee. Nobody's putting it all together. We put it all together onto one platform. And now we're letting all networks and all communities use this platform to do the same methodology. Let's all pay each other to get introductions, right? We've all built these networks over the last 10, 20, 30 years. We have people we could call on the phone and get a meeting with you. But give me a little something for the effort. That's all, right? A little commission, and everybody makes a little cut. So, the people we have in a group are all incentivized to help each other now. They're monetarily incentivized to open doors for each other. That makes a big difference, and that's what we've seen with the group. So,
it's interesting being in the group, and then I hadn't heard all your backstory before. Um, it sounds like part of your purpose is to reward the people who are happy to go out and do the field work for the introduction and do some triage. Is this a good introduction? And are these the right people to match? And
right,
then let the people who want to, run the printing shop, run and stay in the printing shop and do the printing, and they don't have to go out and look for the deals. And
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that part of your purpose?
it absolutely is because those first 12 agencies that I went to were people that hate selling,
Yeah.
right? These people, especially in the marketing world that I was in, they love doing websites. They love creating logos and designing stuff and all that stuff. You know what they hate? Selling. Right? So there's people like you and I that love selling, love it, and now can do that and give it to the people that don't. So my brother, who was in the printing business with me, he completely hates selling. He hates being in the group. He hates being part of the connective. He hates getting on calls and having to speak. And he's just very introverted. It's not him. But he's happy to give 12.5% anytime some one of the 400 some odd people send him a client that needs printing, t-shirts, whatever it might be. Yeah, I'll pay you 12.5%. So you and I are happy because we got our client a good resource, right? We're very strict about who's in the group. So someone that's going to get the job done for our client, make them happy, and we get a little cut of the action. Everybody wins, right? My brother wins because he got a new client. I win because I get a little commission. The client gets the job done and probably done better than anyone else would do it. So it really just it's a win-win-win for all three people, right? So it just works out great.
Yeah, having been in the group, one of the things I continually marvel at is you've created a culture. I mean, the can we commission people? That's been around a long time, and I've been in a bunch of them that didn't work. And in those that where it didn't work, it seemed like people were selfish, didn't trust, those kinds of emotions that were going on. I don't see that in what you built. What have you done so that people come in aligned with each other and willing to trust and to share? Because your groups do share and certainly seem to trust.
Yeah, you set out with this mindset of I could do something different. We all do, right? We all set out, we're going to grow. This is how I'm going to do it. I'll do this better. And there's a million people that have started networking groups, right? I could do this better than B and I could do this better than the tip. I know how to do this better. And then you get caught up in, trying to get members and this. So I've set out to make a better group with a better group of people, all B2B, people that were going after the right people, people have the right mindset of helping each other and all that. You want that. And you get caught up, right? Talk about revenue. Like, hey, I got another person wants to join. Oh, they're probably not the best person, but let me let Rick in. All right, this another person, right? All of a sudden you're like, hey, I could get to 40 people pretty quickly. So when I originally started, I think I got to about 60 people, right? And we were doing like, this was experimental at the time, right? We were trying it out. So I was having different groups in New Jersey, right? Bergen County, New Jersey, Union County. And then, you'd have someone at a meeting, but there were only 5 people there. Well, no one wants to join a 5-person group. So I would start letting other people in just so there was, people in the seats when they came in. Hey, we got 12 people in this group. Oh, now I'll join, right? So anyway, we started letting the wrong people in, right? Not bad people or anything, but just kind of like loosening the reins a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
And I literally woke up one morning in September. Remember, it was a September morning. And I said, "What am I doing?" I said, "This isn't what I wanted to do. This isn't what I set out to do." And that day, I cut about 30 people out of the group. I was like, you know what? Sorry, Rick. Just not a fit. You people, if you want to be still part of this group, you're still in. We're going to New York City, the biggest city in the country, most business going on. You want to stay in? You're going to travel to New York. That's where we're having our meetings, and that's it. About 2 people didn't come because like I don't want to travel to New York. I'm like, if you don't want to travel to New York for group like this, then you're probably not a good fit either. And the other 30 people, I said, thank you, but we're moving in a different direction. Well, and from then, we've never really we've been really, really strict about who comes in. I was telling the group this morning, we've rejected about 250 people this year, maybe over the course of the last 2 years.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but just for one reason or another, maybe they were B2C, maybe they just didn't have the attitude to do. And then when people come in and you have to be invited to the group first, and then you go through a vetting process where you go meet a couple members, and
yeah,
sometimes members will raise their hand and say, "Not that, no, I've dealt with that person before," and then we'll say, "Sorry, you're not in." Or someone does get in a group, and then the way they're acting, like we had a guy I had to ask leave last month that was just selling, selling. So, hey, buy my AI services, buy my AI services, buy my. Hey, do you mind if I tell you what I do? No, he's just pushing, trying to. We're not
yeah.
trying to sell. to the group. You're not trying to sell to the other members. You can do business together, but trying to let everyone know, hey, this is what I do. If you have someone that needs my services, if you do, fine, but someone else. But this guy was just every meeting just taking over a half hour conversation about what, trying to sell his service. I said, listen, that's not how we do things here. You're gonna have to leave the group. And no one wants to get kicked out, but I'm like, it's not how we do things here. So we've been very strict. We have our chapter heads of each chapter. We have 15 different chapters. Their job is to vet those people out too and make sure, they're talking to people. Again, we don't need people in the group. Like we're not a membership group where we make money on membership. And that's where Nolodex comes in and all the referral fees because we make money off of deals,
Right.
right? So we need great people to bring you good deals, right? The $100 a month is great. That's nice. Keeps the lights on, keeps things
Yeah.
moving. Obviously, it adds up. Um, but one deal can bring in, bring that whole thing. I had a deal 2 weeks ago closed $1,200 to me for referring it and $1,200 to the Connective, right? That's my dues. That's
A
one
year.
payment was all too. So other groups that are just membership based, they want more members because that's their only revenue stream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
If
yeah,
your only revenue stream is membership, guess what? You're going to kind of let other members in, right? All right, Rick probably isn't our best bet, but if he's going to pay $100 a month, let's let him in. We get
yeah. Right,
another
right.
20 Ricks, we get 2 grand a month in. We don't want that. We make our money on the back end of deals going on with great people in the group.
Yeah, a lot of them do it like gym memberships. You hope they join and don't show.
Mm, exactly, right? So, yeah,
So
I
tell,
had, yeah, good.
talk about your you have your city breakouts and you have people who manage each of the cities and where do they come from and what's the difference between Hartford and New York and Denver and how does that all work? So if somebody's out there and wants to join one, how do they think about it?
Yeah, so the way we get the people to run the chapters is to get our best people, the people. So you have to be in for 6 months. You have to be, walking the walk, right? How many referrals have you given in a group? Have you been a good member? Are you recruiting other good members into the group? So we look at all those metrics to say, you know what, is Rick going to be a good leader of a group? Well, what leadership qualities does he have? And if we just looked at, new people for next year and we look at somebody because we have the Nolodex tracks everything. So we could look at all the data and say, well, Rick, you haven't given a referral all year. You're not going to be a good leader in a group. Like you were here to give referrals. You haven't recruited one new member. And so we take the best members of our group and let them start a chapter, right? So we pick them out and we interview and just like a job interview basically, and let those people run the chapters. And then their job is to help grow the group, right? And then when a member comes in, we say, "Who, Rick? You're a member now. Who do you know? You know the culture we have here. You know who we're looking for. Who else can you bring in? And guess what? We'll pay you $100 if you bring that person in, right? So the incentive is there to bring more people in. If you bring a new member in every month, you'll never pay dues, right? So again, everything we do has an incentive behind it to do it. So yeah, so we bring in great people to run the chapters. The chapters are named after where they live. So and the difference between the chapters is really personalities. Some people are really high energy, running groups. Some people are more just kind of very, even keel, but very systematic about how they run it, very on time. They want meeting to start. Others are a little more loose. So it's just kind of a personality of the different people in the group. But we have awesome chapter leaders. They're fantastic. So
Well, they are, and the other thing that's interesting, having I haven't been in all of them, but I've been in a number of them. There's a consistency, a quality consistency for sure, and you can be confident that it won't be helter-skelter or random, or your time won't be wasted. How do you train your people up when you bring somebody new in to run, San Francisco? How do you make sure? Is it just that they were a member and they know what their other group worked like?
yeah, I mean, we do training, right? So we're going to show them how we do things before they start anything. We're going to show them what we've done, how we get people in a group, what's a good member, what should they be looking for, all that stuff. So we do about 2 months of training before they start a chapter, right? So we have a whole training schedule that we do with them, show them how to use the platform and all that type of stuff, and tell them this is what we're going to do. The agenda's similar and all that stuff, for running the meetings and things. Um, And then we show them, all the tools that we have to keep, keep recruiting more members and make sure we recruit the right members, right? And every other week we have a chapter head meeting that we go through everything and say, hey, anything going on there? Hey, what have you done? And we want the chapter as a follow, kind of like a franchise, follow our basic guidelines and stuff, but then come up with other ideas. So we're constantly coming up with new ideas. So a chapter head will be like, hey, I want to try this, but go ahead, let's try it. Let's try it in your chapter, Rick. If it works, we'll then train the other people on how to do that and stuff. So like Sam just opened Denver. She likes to do an educational piece every time.
Mhm.
Instead of two breakout rooms, she does one breakout room and one educational piece to educate all the people on how they could do things better
Yeah.
than it, right? Carl is starting a WhatsApp group, right? To say, hey, why don't we talk between meetings? Hey, if you need something real quick, hey, I'm looking for an IP attorney, shoot it to the group, right? So we're testing it out in his chapter. If it works well, then we'll bring it on to everybody. So
Interesting.
um, yeah, so we're constantly doing things to help each other grow, right? And that we do an hour meeting every other week with the chapter heads, and we'll bring things up, bring other ideas up, and other ways we can continue to make things better. And we constantly asking for feedback from the members. What else can we do? What else can we do? Right? So
So talk about the platform because, you know, I was shocked that you created something so cool, just from scratch. I mean, because that's not a small task.
no, and and we've been talking to a lot of community owners. They're like, yeah, I tried to do something like this, or
Yeah.
I wanted to do this. I wanted to do the same thing. And I think it comes down to, who had the chops to do it, right? I don't use the right word for that. Who had the chops to actually go out and do it, because it's a lot of money
Yeah.
and it's a lot of time, right? So it's taken us 2.5 years to build this platform, right? And you have to be patient, and a lot of things with development don't work, and try it again and fix this and fix that, and stick with it. But we were looking for a platform that could track everything back in the day. I had an MVP that I started and didn't do all the payments and stuff. And I looked at different things. I looked at something called Method. I had this thing called Connectable up in Canada I found, but nothing did everything. So we're like, we got to build this ourselves, right? And that's when Adrian came along, my partner, and he's like, hey, that's a great idea. He loved the idea of the connected, but building a software to then sell as a SaaS model to other groups was like, wait,
Sure.
that's a really cool idea. So we went and we built this with that in mind, right? We want the connective to use it to track all our stuff, but we really want it to sell it to other groups. So that's how we built it, and we wanted to build it. We went with an onshore company, the Studio Labs, which is a member of the group as well.
Yeah.
They've done a great job, but we wanted, we could have got it done for half price overseas somewhere, but we really wanted somebody that could tell us, you're doing that wrong, or
Yeah.
you should try to do it this way. Not, we didn't just want to take the architectural plans and be like, here, go build it to this specs, right? We want them to say, hey, maybe you should put the bathroom on the other side of the house because this, or let's say, the sun comes in from this way. You might want
Yeah.
the whatever, the
Yeah.
window over there because you can see the sun in it. All that type of stuff. Because, we didn't build software before. So we built it the right way. We slowly built it. We launched it last November to the Connective, to our 300 members at the time, to then test with all of those members, right? We have 300 testers, right?
Yeah.
300 people testing, breaking the software, trying to make sure. And, for the most part, I mean, the things worked, pretty
Yeah.
smoothly, right? Besides some bugs and, things that happen, or, hey, maybe you should put a button here, or maybe we should do that there. Like the money goes through, the things go through. So everything's pretty been working pretty well. We spent about 3 months over the summer just with a whole list of fixes that we wanted to do and bugs and things that hey, why don't we try this, doing this way? And, we wanted to make it really, really done well to then now start selling it to other groups, which we started doing last month. So we had to add what's called multi-tenancy to allow other tenants or other
Yeah.
communities
Yeah.
to join, right? So we have our first, we're almost at 10 communities. Same thing. We only wanted to put on like
Yeah.
15 communities to start. So we picked we really picked as communities, like the ones that said yes, they want in. So well, let's do one here. Let's try a chamber. Let's test a networking group. Let's do a co-working space. We're looking at who are we going to go out and who's this really going to
Yeah.
work well for. Um, so we picked about 15 communities. We have almost 10 of them already onboarded, and we're slowly onboarding them, right? So we're onboarding them not without any hiccups, and this code doesn't work or
Sure.
this doesn't, little things like that, because we don't want to get it out to the world right? In January, this is perfect timing because January we're going to really start pushing it out there to everybody. We want to get these first on to make sure everything's running smooth and going well, and we're learning as we go too. So the onboarding process, hey, we can do this better, we can do that better, type of thing, and then we'll expand it to hundreds and thousands of groups over the next couple of years.
It's always interesting how no matter how good the software is, you can find users who can screw it up.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of things are human error, right? I can't do this thing, and then like a little thing, like somebody puts in a symbol in their name or something, right? Right? We have somebody in a group that puts a exclamation point in their name, and it screws things up, right? You gotta think, why is this not going by? Oh, because it can't recognize characters sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just not a user error. It's just like for some reason the person likes to put an exclamation point in it, and the system's like, "Whoa, we don't know what that is." So yeah, it's always little things, and you just got to figure out what it is.
So, Joe, one of the things that's really exciting to me about what you do is in today's world, a lot of people want to think, well, everything's digital and it's all about SEO and keywords and those kinds of things. And yet, the research is really clear. People want to do business with people they trust.
Yeah.
And, so it looks to me like you're an answer to, yes, we can do digital stuff, but you're providing this kind of last mile thing that says you can get it down to relationships and trust between members of the connective and then the people that I know that trust me and I trust them and I know they need you and I can connect you. And is that part of what you guys are all about?
Well, it's funny, Rick. We're going old school with new technology, right? We're going old school with it's always been about who you know and who you trust. Like that's never changed, right? Hey, Rick, can you introduce me to that person? I can. What do I trust you to introduce you, Joe? Right? So that's been the genesis of sales from the beginning of time. Like, who do you know? Who can you introduce me to? And yes, do you trust that person? Right? So we're doing that. Let's go back to relationships, right? All this SEO and all this bullshit, all this stuff that's going on. Oh, I could get you 800 leads. Great. You could get me 800 leads, but who cares? I don't know these people. So we're going, hey, Rick, can you introduce me to Sue Jones? Oh yeah, I know Sue Jones. I know her for 20 years. I can make that introduction. And you trust me, I'm part of the group. Great, that makes that introduction, right? So it's that old school. This is the way business is done. Technology, and now we have a technology. The technology is tracking everything, right? So, we built this whole group on relationships and who do you know, who do I know? I trust you, you're part of the group. We're only letting certain people in. Then we just needed, the first 30 people I had on, I could track it in an Excel file, but
Right.
but then when you got 40 people, 100 people, like you need a technology to keep track of everything. And really, technology is there to track the referrals, to follow up, right? Because everyone's incentivized, everyone gets paid on these referrals.
Yeah.
So I want to go back every week and be like, oh, let me look at my referrals. Oh, let me check with Rick. Hey, Rick, I didn't hear back. What happened with this deal, right? Because I want the deal to close. So in other groups, like, yeah, you give a referral out and you're like, good luck, Rick. Hopefully, no, I want the deal to close, Rick. Did you? No, I didn't hear back. Let me follow up with that person. So the technology is there to track all this stuff because I have 160 referrals in there. I can't remember 100. I can't remember what I had for breakfast. So imagine
Yeah.
trying to remember all 160 referrals. So I could use the system to go there. And then when the deal is done, the system pays it. The system takes the dollar and spits it out five different ways if you want, right? It'll pay
Yeah.
this chapter head. It'll pay the person that made the deal. It'll pay if you want to give money to, certain, if you want to put your portion of the money, you tell us where it wants to go. Like the system automatically does everything. So the
Yeah.
technology is taking those relationships, that old school relationship building, who do you know? Who do I know? And then putting it all onto a system and tracking it and spitting the money out to whoever isn't involved in that. So everyone is incentivized now. Yes, I will introduce you to the person I know, and I ain't going to get paid for it. That's a big difference, right? That's going to make sure I make that introduction for you.
So as you look out and just watching you over the last 3 years, you don't sit still very long with